Hey guys, I hope you're all well. It's been a minute since my last video. I've been sick, which is not fun. What do you think of my mate up there? Sorry, I'm just having a bit of a chuckle to myself because you got to start somewhere, right? You got to start somewhere. Um, I watch so many slick YouTube channels, and I've got a A4 poster of Bukayo behind me, and my kids drawing from daycare. You got to start somewhere. I'll look back at this video and I'll be like, see, I started from nothing. Mark my words. So anyway, let's get into the video. So look, not a lot's really happened since my last video, if I'm being honest. So I haven't really missed a lot, but I did want to come on and just talk about a few things. Obviously, the fixture list came out yesterday. I don't put a lot of emphasis on the fixture list. Like, we play everyone twice, just like everyone else does. So I've never really cared too much about who we play and when we play. I know as the season moves on, it becomes more of a talking point. But yeah, I'm not going to lie. Those first 6 games are tasty, to say the least, and will be really challenging. I think, if anything, there's just no easy game in the Premier League anymore. Like, there's no such thing as an easy game. Like, the quality across the board has just gone up so much in the last few years that there's just no such thing as a guaranteed 3 points anymore. And I do think the teams that have come up this year are going to put up a much bigger challenge than the ones that came up and went straight back down. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. And I think the thing that scares me about those first 6 games is, like, particularly when you look at what's going on or not going on in the transfer window, and when you see what Liverpool and Man City are doing, like, as much as we could win 5 out of 6, we could win like 1 out of 6. We could win 1 and draw 1 and lose the rest. Like, that is possible. We could be sitting in a position whereby, in the first 6 games, we've got 4 points out of 18, like, and completely out of the race before it's even begun. So it's really important that Arsenal start this season well. And we've got to make sure that we're ready for that first game against Manchester United away. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure riding on this window. And so yeah, going into the window, I mean, look, the thing that's broken, like, literally in the last half an hour, Fabrizio Romano's come out and said, what we all kind of already know, which is that there doesn't appear to be an agreement anytime soon between Partey and Arsenal, which for me is really concerning. I've touched on this in previous videos. Like, for me, losing Partey this coming season is a really big blow for Arsenal, on the premise that we've already Jorginho's already gone, which I was fine with, but you've got Zubimendi coming in, who has never played in the league before, is definitely not someone that I think will just take to the Premier League like duck on water. And so my mindset was always like, Thomas Partey is the starting 6, and Zubimendi can kind of integrate his way into the team and kind of come in and out for this first season. Because for me, I still think, looking back at last season, I think Thomas Partey was definitely top 3 Arsenal players of the season. And I still think he has a massive role to play in this team if he can stay fit. So I'm really worried about the fact that he might be leaving, because not only are we losing one of our best players from the last season, but we're now having to replace him. And I don't know who we can get that will replace him like for like, or do as good, if not better job than him. If we go and bring in another overseas player, then we're just in the exact same position with Zubimendi, which is all of a sudden we have 2 central midfielders who have never played in the Premier League. And that really worries me. I'm not going to lie. That really worries me. So I'm really hoping, I can understand it from both sides in terms of what Partey's wanting and what Arsenal are wanting. But I really want to see that deal get done, if I'm honest, because I don't like the sound of him leaving. I'm sick and tired of the whole Sesko Gyökeres thing. And the more I think about it and the more I listen to some other creators online talking about the situation, I'm starting to think, why are we not putting down 120, 130, 140 for Isaac? Like, if Isaac is the guy, if he's the guy that's going to win us that Premier League, or at least that, that's the premise behind it. If he's the best striker available, why are we not going after him? put a bid down, shake things up, make things uncomfortable. If you just do nothing, you never know. And I just think we've been kind of coerced into this conversation of Sesko or Gyökeres, who I think are both good, solid options, but they're not the best option. So why are we not going after the best option? Why do Arsenal never go after the best option? Why? We always seem to end up with these kind of potentials or these like really good players, but it's like at the end of the day, the best players win you the biggest trophies. It's just the way it is. Like Man City, they've had the best players. They've won the big tournaments. Um, Liverpool last season, Salah, Van Dijk, Arnold, they had the best players. Alisson, they won the league. Arsenal in our heyday, we had the best players. We won the league. Manchester United, they had the best players. They won the league. And look, we've got some very good players, but I just don't think we have any. We don't have enough top level players who can win a game single-handedly when things aren't going well. You know, look at how many times Salah saved Liverpool last season. Like, we don't have that guy. I know Saka does it, but he needs help. So, yeah, I'm bored of the striker conversation. I don't know what will happen there. I do know we're not going to bid for Isaac, which is annoying. So we'll just wait and see. I personally hold no hope for Rodrygo. I know a lot of fans are kind of clinging to the idea of Rodrygo being the superstar that kind of, you know, matches the Vert signing, matches the Cherky signing, but I just don't see it happening. I think Alonso came out recently and kind of made it pretty clear that he wants to kind of have Rodrygo as a key part of the squad this season, and I think that's all Rodrygo would need to hear, to be honest. I don't see him pushing for a move out of Madrid, and I don't see Arsenal putting down the type of money that will convince Madrid or the player. So yeah, I genuinely don't see the Rodrygo thing happening, which then leaves me with this kind of the conversation again around who do we go to next? Like Nico Williams is basically through the doors at Barcelona. Lookman, again, a good player, but are we bringing in Lookman and I'm sitting here saying, right, that's it, we're winning the league? No. And that's the problem. This is the problem for me when I look across the board of who we can bring in this season. There's no names that are standing out to me where I'm like, oh, if we bring that player in and that player in, Jesus, like we are ready to go. And that's what's worrying me at the moment is not only do I not like the fact that we've been incredibly slow out the blocks, and look, this video is not coming with a lot of context and common sense and logic to it. I'm just being a kind of fan and I'm just speaking. So I know there's always context to situations, but I'm sorry, for me, this has been way too slow of a start. And, you know, I know Man City had the Club World Cup to prep for, and that might be the reason why they moved so quickly. But Liverpool don't have the Club World Cup. They've just won the league. Like, they could be excused for kind of, you know, weighing out their next moves. They've just gone bang, bang, bang and improved that team significantly by doing so. And we're sitting here umming and ahhing about two okay strikers. And that's the other thing. Like, the reality is, since my last video, like 10, 11 days ago, who new has come to the table in terms of who we're talking about? Like, we're still talking about Sesko, Gyökeres. There's rumors of Rodrygo. Zubimendi obviously is, by all accounts, done. And then the only other kind of thing that is popping up is negative stuff in terms of Thomas Partey potentially leaving. There's still no word on Saliba or Saka signing new deals. It doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel great at the moment. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know, this window is so important. It is so important, and people are saying that it's still early. It is and it isn't. Like, it is and it isn't. And you know, we have to, like, these next 4 weeks are huge. Huge. Are you telling me we're going to kind of get the bulk of our business done in the next 4 weeks? It's kind of hard to believe sitting here right now. And I can't help but worry. I can't help but worry. And it's not like this is a one-off for Arsenal. Arsenal have never really performed that well in transfer windows. Like, that this is their MO, is to move slowly, to come across indecisive, and ultimately kind of you get to the end of the window and you're like, is that it? Is that the best we could do? And I have a fear that that's where we're heading again with this window, and we cannot afford to do that again. I'm telling you right now, if we bring in Sesko and we bring in a Lookman and we bring in Zubamendi and another kind of up and coming six to kind of replace the departure of Thomas Partey, I don't even think. I think we're in a top 4, top 5 conversation if that happens. I genuinely do, because we were off it last year. Yeah, again, I know injuries, suspensions, bad luck, but we were a mile off it last year, and we need to bring in better players than the ones I've just kind of listed off. It is what it is. So yeah, I'm not that person who knows the market inside out. So I'm not going to sit here and say I know 3 or 4 players for each position that we should be going after. I just don't. And I was speaking to my brother earlier, and he was talking about how, Arsenal have never really been the kind of club to go out and buy the ready-made superstar. And he was referencing the likes of, Vieira and Henri and players of this nature, and how we signed them and they weren't really the names that they ended up becoming. And I said to him, I'm like, look, it's a fair point, but the market has changed so much now. Like, Vieira cost £1 million. Like, so what kind of a risk are you really taking there? Whereas now, a 21-year-old who's had a good half season, you got to spend 60, 70 mil. We can't afford to do that. We can't afford to take that risk on a player who's had like 12 good games. So, I don't know of like any, like Doué in PSG is a classic example of someone who, why are we not kind of knowing about that guy? I think he was at Rennes in France, doing some good looking stuff, and PSG have kind of picked him up, got him, for not much, and he's turning into a superstar right in front of our eyes. And for me, that's the type of players that Arsenal need to be identifying. We need to be identifying these kind of young up and comers who you know are pretty much guaranteed to turn into superstars, because I don't think there are a lot of ready-made superstars ready to go right now. The ones that are out there, the Mbappes, the Bellinghams, the Vinicius Juniors, the Rafinhas, the Yamals, the Musialas, they're not going anywhere. Like they're not leaving where they are. So there's no point talking about them. So it's about identifying players that they just need that platform and a better level of player around them to kind of project onto that next level and take Arsenal with them. That's what I think. So yeah, it's frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. And it just feels deja vu. It just feels the same. And it's worrying me. I really hope that the likes of Berta, Arteta, and the rest of the kind of hierarchy above who are kind of in control of all this stuff have their shit together, and they know what they're doing, because I'm seeing a lot of panic within the fan base, and it's understandable. And I really would have thought the hierarchy would have kind of thought to themselves post January, like, right, if this season doesn't quite work out the way we want it to, based on not signing anyone in January, like let's throw the Arsenal fans a bone by bringing a superstar within the first couple of weeks of the window. Like, just bring in a big name for them to kind of celebrate and kind of move through the summer to kind of to own and be proud about. But yeah, they haven't done that. So look, it is what it is. I think all we can do now is kind of sit back and see what happens, and hope that they prove us wrong. So yeah, I'll be doing another video once some more news breaks about something, whether that's Thomas Partey officially leaving or us finally deciding between Sesko and Gyökeres. But yeah, as soon as I've got something that I've got an opinion on, I'll be back online. All right, guys, have a great night. Bye.